All right, y'all. Looks like we are live right now. We're just beginning to start the Kansas City People's Agenda meeting. We're going to give just a minute or two for folks to join in. Welcome, everyone. Just give folks a few more minutes to get in. We are currently live, broadcasting on YouTube right now. My name is Justice Gatson. Um, Most of you know me. I'm the organizer here in Kansas City and founder of Real Justice Network, organization that does bailout work. We support folks who were formerly incarcerated, and we work on a lot of policy issues as they relate to ending cash bail. We're also abolitionists, reproductive justice organizers, and advocates. And we'll be talking a little bit about Texas today and plans that we have here in Missouri. Just give one more minute for folks to join in. All right, we just got an hour, so let's go ahead and get started. I know that there are several other organizers will be joining to give some updates about what's happening in our area and um, how you all can join in to social justice and progressive work in Kansas City in particularly. So, my goodness, it's been what 30 days since we last met and were able to speak. And I want to first start off by acknowledging um, that we are upon lands that were taken from people. We are on native lands, and although there's no federally recognized tribes in Missouri, we know that there were a great number of people who lived here before colonization, and so we want to honor them. The Kickapoo, the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Osage, um, honoring also giving honor to my ancestors um, who I share native blood with. Um, you know uh, what they had to go through. We shall never forget, and so we want to always honor them. Um, there, memories now where they're finding um, graves of Native children. There's a lot happening in the world. And so we want to make sure that we recognize and that we honor. the people who were displaced on these lands that we now sit on. So moving moving forward in the spirit of gratitude, um, I just want to give thanks to our community and to all of you who've really stepped up during this trying time. In the middle of a global pandemic and waves of Delta variant and now a new variant, and we've seen how community come together and supported one another through mutual aid efforts, making sure that restaurant and tipped workers are able to still provide, making sure that our communities don't go without food and necessary resources, medicines. And so I just want to say thank you because you've stepped up, because you've been giving, you've been donating to organizations, you've been contributing, you've been dropping off food and clothes. And it really means a lot. It really means a lot. Don't ever think that what you do is so small and insignificant. It has an impact on our community. And so I want to thank you for doing that work and for sharing in that labor with us. So, whew, Devin is here and is a partner in this work with us. KC People's Agenda came together because we said, you know, we have all of these groups in Kansas City who are working on all of these great things. But we want to make sure that those groups that are the most marginalized are centered and that those voices are heard. And so we brought together Black and Brown led organizations, Black, Indigenous groups who work on issues that impact marginalized communities. And with that, we've been able to come up with a document that we are still working on. It's not quite done, but it is something that we're using to inform our mayor and our city council about, how we can use our resources more wisely and in ways that will actually benefit our communities more. We named a number of things, and we have a number of organizations around the table. Uzazi Village, which, if you aren't aware of Uzazi, Uzazi, an amazing organization that does work centering Black maternal health and infant health. If you don't know, Black babies and Black mamas die in our country when they don't have to. They don't have to, but they do. And a lot of these things are tied to bias in the care that is received. Oftentimes, Black women are thought to not need pain medication. Black men as well. And so there's lots of things by even Black babies are considered to be hardier. That's a term that is used. But we know that these have dire impacts on us, on our communities. And when folks like Serena Williams aren't listened to about their bodies, we know what can be happening in hospitals across the country as it relates to other women of color who don't have a big platform and a huge voice like Serena. If you don't know, Serena Williams experienced problems with her pregnancy, with her delivery, and please Google and read about it. But typically, Black women are ignored in medical settings. We're working with Blackout, BTAN. I'll let Deb talk about those organizations. The Educating Latinx Education Collaborative, a group that is run by Executive Director Edgar Palacios, is a part of this. Other orgs doing amazing work. Samaritan Wings, who focus on immigration, Black immigration, Black immigrants, supporting Black immigrants in this country. And I'll go on and on, but I could, but I won't. I won't. Because I want to kick it over to Devin. Devin, please introduce who you are to our community. I mean, we know who you are, but for the people that need to catch up, introduce who you are, and please talk to us about the work that's happening as it relates to HIV in Kansas City.
Yeah, thank you for having me today, Justice. So everybody, my name is Devin Hersey, he, him, his. I'm calling him from Columbia, Missouri, but I am, from Kansas City, so there's no question. But I'm representing both Blackout KC, which is Kansas City's only Black-led HIV prevention service provider. And I'm also representing BTAN, which is the Black Treatment Advocates. So the Black Treatment Advocates Network is a national organization. We are a part of, we're an affiliate of the Black AIDS Institute, which is a national think tank, political think tank. And one of the only national organizations that really has a platform to make sure that we're represented at the highest level of decision making with a focus on Black people. So Blackout KC is continuing to offer PrEP services throughout the Kansas City area. Of course, we want to make sure that we're reaching Black people, particularly Black gay men, and I'll give you the reason for that. In 2016, the CDC reported that Black gay men have a 1 out of 2 lifetime risk of acquiring HIV, which is completely unacceptable. Most communities couldn't imagine having that level of risk, that level of HIV risk placed on their community based on, matters of identity and sexuality. Actually, to be more specific, matters of racism and homophobia. And that's really the intersectional impact that racism and homophobia have on our lives. It can really be measured in some of these HIV statistics. But we don't want to lose sight of the fact that Black women account for, I believe it's 60% of new cases among women. So we want to make sure that we are serving all Black people within the Kansas City area. And a lot of that data doesn't even exist for trans folks, but we kind of know intuitively that, we need to be looking out for all Black people and being very intentional about that. But Blackout KC, as I said, is offering PrEP services throughout the Kansas City area. We have a teleprep system that seems to be working pretty well. And we're very accessible. You can find us on Facebook, Blackout KC, or else you can find our website. But if you feel like that's something that you might be interested in, do not hesitate to reach out. And to go with that, the Black Treatment Advocates Network, we're more or less a coalition of leaders within the Kansas City area. And this is important because, some of us more seasoned advocates in the area know that HIV interventions are only going to be as effective as the extent of the extent of our ability to have people living with HIV and Black people in leadership. So if you know of an agency that is, responding to HIV, that response is only going to be as effective as the extent and willingness of that organization to listen to those who are most impacted. So we're developing leaders. This year moving forward, we are focusing on just developing our abilities. So we're setting personal goals for each of our members so that we can feature some of these folks in webinars so that people can get a little bit more experience in marketing and promotion. And really just having a seat at the table, being involved in all decisions that are impacting our community. We're very participatory in that way. And I think that is what is going to make us effective. We do intend to do some work on the Kansas side. We don't want to lose sight of what's happening in Kansas because we are we're really one community. I was going to say we're neighbors, but we're one community. And also we have some upcoming webinars. One in particular is going to be about progress that's been made toward ending the HIV epidemic in Kansas City. And it's going to have really a sexual and reproductive health lens. And we might have a couple of others coming up shortly. Well, in the near future. But that's going to wrap up my update. Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, Deb. Really appreciate all the work that you all are doing. It's really, really amazing. And y'all are like working off like little resources, but making like huge impacts. Come on, somebody, give these groups some money. Because imagine what you could do with some money. I'm just saying, city. I'm just saying. I want to give a bit of an update as it relates to some of the work going on at Uzazi. I'll read a bit. Hakima Payne is the executive director, and these are her words, right? So Ida Mae Clinic is open and operating. Yes, yes. And it's so exciting to see the Village Circle model in action. And like I've seen this Village Circle model, I've been a part of it. It's truly amazing. The community families making their way through the space, visiting with midwives, being served tea by our herbalists while the medicinal properties are explained. Meeting with the parent educators and being gifted storybooks to share with their little ones. Gaining knowledge and guidance from the clinical doula. It is truly amazing to behold Black clients navigating their way through sacred Black space and getting their healthcare needs met. If you would like to get care in our clinic, please call 816-599-3622 for an appointment. The number again, 816-599-3622. We are so excited for the work and we are doing and that will be done. We're so excited for the work that we're doing and the work that will be done. Thank you to all who have supported the work to make this happen. And this is, y'all, if you can remember when I was a part of it, when I was working at Uzazi, we were down there in the smaller building. And then we were able to get the bigger building and we were able to get the upstairs and the downstairs built out. The clinic is beautiful. And if you haven't been over there, make an appointment to go over there and check out the clinic, check out the website, donate to Uzazi. They take cash donations, they take clothing donations, shoes, diapers, they got diaper drives. Anything that you can think of that a new family might need, Uzazi probably would like that. So please check out Uzazi. And there are some things that are going to be happening. The walk, infant mortality walk is coming up. I know that they've got a toolkit out for people who want to do that. People are figuring out ways to still organize, engage, do work, and be safe through this pandemic. So let's make sure that we let everybody know that the Ida Mae Patterson Center for Maternal and Infant Wellness is open and is serving our community. City, if you want to find a good space to give some money to that's having a good impact, Uzazi, another great space. Right now, I want to, our youth organizer, Beyond, is on. And Beyond, I know that there's something, you have a quick little message that you want to give.
Okay, hello, my name is Beyond Gatson, she, her, hers. And the message I would like to give out is that Missouri students will be having an event about critical race theory. And if you're interested, please contact us and reach out. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Beyond. Yeah, I really think it's important to hear from young people. You've got all these legislators at the state house fighting over CRT. A lot of it is madness. However, it is being used as a tool to harm communities. So we definitely need to know what's going on with it. I know young people, they definitely have a voice in it. Young people were the first to contact me about critical race theory. They were messaging me and was like, Miss Justice, do you know that this is happening? And so they were definitely aware of it. Thank you, Sunrise Movement, young folks. You all were on my heels about it. But this is now the opportunity to actually have a voice. So if you are a student, you're a young person in Missouri, and you want to join in, please message us. These are going to be on the third Tuesdays of the month. And I know that the first one will be students talking with other students. The second one will be students engaging with parents and grandparents. And then the third one will be students engaging with legislators. I know Representative Paula Brown will be on that one, some of our other state legislators who are, in the trenches when it comes to all of this stuff. Just a little bit of background for people who aren't familiar. A couple of weeks ago, there was a hearing, not an official hearing, but Black people were kept out of it. There were no Black people were allowed. No Black scholars, no Black teachers, no Black people could enter into this meeting. They were passing out packets from a group, and they were briefed by a group. I looked them up, and it's their website is full of just inaccuracies. But this is who our state lawmakers were briefed by, and so they just received a load of information that's just purely inaccurate. There was a press conference after that, pulled in by the NAACP and others to denounce this kind of private closed door event that happened. And then there was another gathering in which people were able to attend. Shout out to Mo Del Villar, who is my colleague at the ACLU, who is making sure that this remains in the forefront, and that we don't, just push, kind of ignore this thing. Honestly, we can't ignore it. We need to deal with it. So, critical race theory. Thank you, Beyond. Looking forward to that. For all of the things that you're hearing about today, we will drop the information so that you can go back and look and find links. We'll do that after the meeting today. So we have Ak on, who is the Kansas City, who's the president of the Kansas City National Lawyers Guild. Hi, Ak. How are you? Can you tell us anything about what's happening with the students in Fayette?
Yes, first of all, hello, my name is Ak, pronouns he, him. And thank you for having me, Justice. Yes, well, as we know, or I would assume that we know, that Christopher and Torrance, the students at Fayette, have been falsely accused of many things, actually. And through the course of this period, we've gotten Christopher exonerated, but we still have Torrance, and Torrance is I'm trying to put this politely because I'm kind of invested in it myself. So Torrance is fighting a battle between a glamour seeking attorney and a well, glamour seeking attorney and prosecutor in the small town of Fayette. Fayette Police Department have arrested Christopher and Torrance on false pretenses, gave them bogus charges, saying they didn't stop at the stoplight and kicked the door in, no knock raids, and they just kind of really racial profiled them. And they exonerated one, but they don't want to admit to wrongdoing with Torrance, so they just want him to plea for to a traffic stop, just to save face that this whole action was warranted of some sort. And basically, Torrance is not going with it because he didn't do anything wrong. He's a football player. He goes to CMU, it's a Methodist college, and he's actually an upstanding young man. I would definitely be proud to call him my son. They keep switching the court dates and just toying with him basically, just because they are at fault and don't want to admit it. So his date was for September the 30th, and all of a sudden, for some way, somehow they moved his court date up to September 14th, which hence causes a problem because he was prepared for September 30th, and now he has an away game, and it's just a lot, and it's all really because of this one lawyer that's trying to do the limelight. Yeah, so we're trying to figure out how we can continue to support him, and I'm pretty sure Justice has some more information on it. I'm just more like I'm kind of invested, so I'm trying to hold my anger back. I'm kind of upset to watch this injustice doing to an innocent black man that has done nothing wrong, and actually is an example of what a young college student should actually be, without any color code, just a young college student thriving, trying to better himself in the world. He's going to be the first one of his family to graduate with a degree, and that's a major feat within itself. And throughout all of this, he's still holding true to his values and what he feels he needs to do. And I commend him, and whatever we can do and I can do personally to assist this young man to go forward in a positive light, I am all for. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. I will. I think please put your mute on so your background noise. Thank you. Yeah, this one is a tough one. Basically, in a nutshell, there were 2 no-knock raids done at 2 different times on the house of students in Fayette, Missouri, who attend CMU, right? So it's a small Methodist college in this rural town in Missouri. And there were 2 students, 2 Black students, 2 Black football players, and Janice, who is a white female student, dating Christopher. That played into a part of this. They were considered to be flaunting their relationship because they did what young kids do, who love each other, walk with holding their hands and eating together and just being young. Um, and so these kids were targeted. Um, and the second night, I didn't know them during the first raid that happened. Janice reached out, found our organization. At that time, Christopher was being held on 50,000 cash only bond. And I called them and I said, "You all really want $50,000?" And they said yes. And so we began to raise some money. We ended up getting them out. It didn't cost us. It ended up not costing us that, but it did cost a lot for Christopher. He was put on pretrial condition, and that's why we fight against cash bail, y'all, because people can be put on a pretrial condition. If you don't know what that is, that means that the judge can set a condition of release for a person who's not been convicted of a crime. And that could mean a number of things. Usually it would mean to get onto a monitor, some type of surveillance GPS monitoring device. That's what happened to Christopher. He had to get onto a GPS monitoring device. Now, if he were to be violated or found in violation, he could go back to jail. The judge could say, "You go back to jail." The other thing to note is that he had to pay for this. He had to pay for the setup and the continual weekly charges for this. This is something we run across in our bail work all the time, where a judge may issue a pretrial condition. And this is totally unfair. Also the way and sometimes in which they consider these conditions, they may include a number of things like address could be one. Well, they might consider a person who lives in a low income part of town, they would deem them for that. Whereas a person who may be an actual danger, but lives, say, in what they would consider a wealthy, let's just say wealthy part of town, would not get a ding for that. And so they may not end up with a pretrial condition, but some mama who's working a fast food job and trying to take care of some kids might. And so there's inequities built into the entire system every step of the way, including the charge, including that high cash bail amount, including the fact that Howard County will only accept cash bail. And they're astronomical amounts. So that, along with an embarrassed prosecutor, right? An embarrassed prosecutor. Because mind you, 2 raids. The second one I was around for. They called me, it was Halloween, I'll never forget. It was Halloween night. I was about to do something with my children, and I got this call that shook me to the core. And I work for the ACLU. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. But this call, y'all, and I know what those kids look like because I've been there. I took them some barbecue from Gates and some donuts from Lamar's because I said, I'm going to go to Fayette and I'm going to talk to them. I want to know who these kids are. I want to know what's happening here. So I had been there and I knew what they looked like, say, physically. And so to hear what I heard on the end of the phone, I knew they were in stress. And I did not think they would come out of there with their lives, and they did not either. It was very traumatic, very traumatic. And so they survived. They went through that. We go up. We know the court date's going to be in June. And so we say, you know, celebration of Juneteenth, we're going to go free these kids. And thankfully, Christopher was exonerated, fully, completely exonerated. They had no evidence against him, like they have none against Torrance. And so it's going to be up to us to make sure that these attorneys do what they're supposed to do, right? Attorneys are supposed to provide a zealous defense for their client. They are supposed to fight for you. And I expect an attorney to really, really go to bat for some kids we know are innocent. I expect that. And so I don't think that they're getting what they deserve in that regard, but we won't belabor that. But they're also not getting what they should as it relates to the law, period. The prosecutor should drop the charge and say, I'm sorry. And so that's what we're going to demand. We will let everybody know. We will potentially be going back next week. We had made plans, as you all know, to go back at the end of the month, but that might change. And I'm pulling a call out for clergy and for those who are invested in social justice to reach out to us. We're going to need your voice on this. You know, Ak is emotionally invested in this. I am as well. I've gotten to know these young people. Christopher, Janice just had a child. Christopher's child. He's now a new father. They left, and they left because Christopher was afraid for his pregnant girlfriend starting a family and just what they went through. I mean, and Janice was the one who threw her body over Christopher's to prevent him from getting shot. And so they just been through a lot. And we really want to just make sure we're there for for Torrance. Devin, you know, I've got a 21-year-old son. He's tall. He's a big boy. You know, I worry. And Dev, you're like a little brother to me. You know, I think about, you know, being a college student. You're in college now too. I think about being a college student and trying to get through my classes and be a good student and my activities, but then have to deal with a whole court case like that as well. I don't know. I just can't imagine it. I wanted to hear some thoughts from you because you're so close in age to these students and you're in school, like I said. And I know you were like, Justice, hasn't this been going on for over a year? Yes, it has. What?
Really? Okay, I'm gonna be honest. My thought is I'm not 21, I'm 31. That's really what my thought is. But so I don't know how close in age I might be, but I'm just thinking about what a privilege it is to, and I've seen some conversation about this, maybe in a meme somewhere, but what a privilege it is to go to school and just have to think about school and not have to think about everything else. And that's, that's in my experience, that's been a part of being a Black college student. It's something that we have grown so accustomed to that other people really don't even consider, much less invest any thought into. So I hope that even when this is over, I hope that we're able to celebrate their academic success. I think it means so much more given what we go through for us to, acquire an education. So yeah, my heart goes out to them. It really does, because this is not easy. Committing to school is really, it's a gamble in many ways, financially. And for me, school tends to be a trigger for stress and anxiety. So I'm rooting for our team.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you're right about. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dev,
Yeah.
I would like for you to know that 31 is young, sir. And it's barely over 21. I'm 51. Have a blessed day.
Tell my hairline, okay?
I just told you I'm 51, Deb. I've been through that.
Yeah. So, even 51 and 61 is young. My grandma transitioned in the February, and she was 98 years old. Um, so and so she would consider all of us babies. um, but yeah, Devin, what a privilege to just think about school and the stresses and worries of just being a student. Um, and when I think about it, I never was able to do that. I mean, because we always had to think about if we wanted to go out where we were going to go, that we wouldn't have trouble, right? Where we could hang out at, where these Black students wouldn't be a target for just us trying to have fun. And so I hadn't thought about that in a long time, but yeah, that's so true. I'm pretty sure. And all that we're seeing in the world, um, students just, hanging out, reading, and getting cops called on them. Students trying to get in their dorm room, cops being called on them. Students just,
Yeah, nationally, but we can have a whole conversation on Missouri alone. What is the assault that's happened to Black students within Missouri, in the classroom and outside, on campus and off of campus? So, I mean, there's a lot when we think about, what was it, 2014, when there were, a lot of allegations happening within the UM system. I'm thinking about a college student who was arrested for HIV criminalization type of things, for having sex.
Michael Johnson, the Michael
Yeah.
Johnson case, right?
For being 20 something and, having consensual contact. So, yeah, I think about the assault that, we have a lot that stands in our way before we even get to the college campus. And then once we get here, when we live long enough, when we survive, when we put in enough work academically, it doesn't just stop.
So true. So true. And, that I guess will bring me to, our next topic, which is, the Texas ban. There are definitely a lot of students who are engaged in activism and advocacy as it relates to reproductive justice, reproductive rights. And, this Texas ban, first of all, let me just say, Missouri, we went through our own ban, right? I was dead in the middle of fighting it with, folks, our allies, Planned Parenthood, NARAL folks, Pro-Choice Missouri, all of the RICO rights groups in Missouri, ACLU. And we ended up creating the No Bans Coalition because they were literally banning, they're placing these bans at different levels, right? 6 weeks, 8 weeks, all these 10 weeks, all these bans. And so ours ended up in court, right? But I remember but the time before that, leading up to that, all of the attacks on Planned Parenthood and the literal closing of clinics all across Missouri. So we get to the point where we only have one clinic. One. We are left with one right now, y'all. That's just one. That's where we're at. And holding on for dear life to that because it's been attacked. Our health director wanted to go in and try to track the periods of Missouri women, if y'all don't remember that story. And so we know about these bans. and so when this happened in Texas, I know that lawmakers in Missouri wish and want to enact something very similar here. And so We definitely need to watch our state ledge in the next session. Know that our session will start in January, but those bills will be filed, pre-filing starting December. So we will start to see what's going to come in and start to formulate something. But we know now what we need to do is unite, be in unity with Texas and other reproductive justice organizations across the country. So what is Missouri doing? Well, in St. Louis, they had a rally the other day. I believe they had Cori Bush speak, and some other folks were on that. Kansas City is gearing up to do the national march on October the 2nd. And so folks will be gathering at Mills Creek Park at 1 p.m. on October the 2nd. You are going to get this information. We're going to make sure that we attach it to the notes under this video, and you will see it because we're partnering with everybody. Every progressive organization in Kansas City, we are partnering with. We need to have a unified voice on this because the implications of this don't just lend to reproductive justice. They are going to impact voting. They're going to impact how we can do and move anything in this state in the next year. And so this is important. You think repro justice isn't your issue? It is your issue. You just don't know it yet. It is your issue. So make sure to become engaged. We are going to have planning sessions for some trusted organizers. Please, Wednesdays for the next 4 weeks at 6 p.m. We will be planning this. We will be planning how we want this to go. I was on the national call last night with the Women's March and organizers from all across the country. We are in solidarity on this. And so we want to make sure that our community knows how we're moving. What the nerve though, Texas? Let's just talk about it because go through the details. Texas is like, okay, we're gonna just say any of y'all can come, and if you don't like that these women over here, have minded their business and tended to their bodies, you don't like it, go bother them. It's okay. And as a matter of fact, we'll incentivize you to do so. $10,000. This is one of the most vigilante type pieces of legislation that I've ever seen. And it is scary, quite frankly. And it feels very much like it is in the spirit of the January 6th stuff that happened. It feels like it's right in there with that. And so this is a time to be offering protection, resources, and we're already getting calls from distressed people in Texas who are desperate. The law is doing exactly what it intended to do, and that is to shut down every provider, to shut them down, to make them afraid to carry on providing health care. And that is a problem. That is a problem. Nobody's belief should be able to. Go ahead, Deb. You got it.
This is a question. Would that include people who are seeking abortion services outside of the state of Texas? Because if that scenario holds true, it sounds very Mason-Dixon.
I think that that's going to be the problem, that people are going to interpret this thing in various different ways, and they will inflict a whole lot of harm before it's figured out. For sure, they are saying, if you live in Texas and you are trying to get an abortion, somebody knows about it and they can tell on you, they can bring a suit on you in court. And you can live anywhere. So if we know that this happened, say somebody in Missouri knew that somebody was going through this in Texas, they could do it. It doesn't matter where you live. Now, the thing I'm unclear about is if a Texas person went somewhere else. And I think that might be. This thing is just wild, which is why, of course, the Department of Justice is suing, right, over the bans.
Justin,
Yes.
don't they have that in this new law that if you aid somebody to do it, then you get some sort of charge as well?
Absolutely.
They include Uber drivers, yes.
Anyone who helps, the driver, anybody who assists, anybody who lends care, aid, safety, resource can be charged. And so let's just go over it. So the new law bans abortion at 6 weeks, at or about 6 weeks. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a birth worker. I'm a doula. So I support birthing families during their entire birthing process and after. And I know that most of my mamas have no clue that they're even pregnant at 6 weeks. No clue, like don't know. As a matter of fact, I think the average of knowing is closer to the 10, 12 weeks is what I typically see. You're like, dang, I'm like 10 weeks pregnant. I didn't know. But so 6 weeks, think about that. 6 weeks, you really don't know. But this is where, so you don't really have a chance to know before the law kicks in. And they know that, like, the precedent, right, to the court case, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, regardless of whether exceptions are made for particular circumstances, a state may not prohibit any woman from making the ultimate decision to terminate her pregnancy before violence. So we know that that's already there, and Texas is going completely against precedent and what's already set. But we know that for several years, the whole aim has been really to dismantle Roe v. Wade, to crush it, to get rid of it. And this is just, I think, a creative way to do it, to activate regular citizens, people to do this, to do these actions. And that's why I said it feels very Trumpian to me, the way that this would be. And to get in trouble, to be brought up on a charge in court for simply giving a person a ride is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And so we can't allow this ridiculous thing to stand. And we need to watch out for all of the red states, what's going to happen in those ledge sessions as it relates to this. My fear is the Democrats, be strong. We got you. Be bold. Get a little indignant with these Republicans. They deserve it. It's okay to be forceful, and do not negotiate away every single thing that we've gotten over the last couple of years. Be bold. The other thing I want to say is, make sure that you reach out to your state rep, senator, representative. Reach out to the person that's fighting for you. Reach out to the person that's making good decisions, who's voting the right way, and say thank you. Please. This work is so hard, to constantly have to fight with people who are intent on harming other people through legislation. It's hard. It's hard to keep going back and going up to bat and keep going up to bat and keep speaking and keep making sure you hold people accountable. So I want to say, make sure you appreciate them, because it's hard, and they have been taking hit after hit after hit. And sometimes advocates, I know Mo, thank you, Mo. When our ledge session is open, they're up sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning over this stuff. And so it's really interesting also to see what Missouri will push forward in the wee hours of the morning. We could talk about that during ledge session. Um, but we've got to be more in tune, and please just reach and say, is there anything that we can do to help you? Because sometimes those legislators need you to show up. They need you to testify. And right now in Missouri, you can testify virtually. We're going to fight to make sure that that still remains an option for the next session. But that's important, having access. When the pandemic first hit, if you all remember, there was a portion where the ledge was trying to act in secrecy, closing meetings, wouldn't allow testimonies. We fought back on that and was able to get one side to say, okay, we'll do the virtual. We will. We still fight with the other side though, but it's okay. We'll keep pushing. Okay, I'm gonna give the update from Real Justice Network now. Our work is kind of entwined in a little bit of what you all have heard today, but I want to highlight and uplift the Truth and Justice series. Truth and Justice. This is monthly on Thursdays, the first Thursday of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. This is being co-hosted by National Lawyers Guild. We also have ACLU of Missouri, the Incarcerated Workers Organizing Committee. It's a group of incarcerated people who have formed a union, and several other groups. Real Justice Network is providing space and supporting families who have lost loved ones to police violence. So I think you all know by now about Ryan Stokes. Ryan's mama, Miss Naireen, is the co-host with me. And I think you all know about John Albers too. John was our white baby in Kansas who was killed by the police in his driveway. And so John's mama is co-host on that with me as well. And so this is all about elevating those folks, hearing their stories and how we can support their efforts. We know that we're fighting to get local control of police in Kansas City. The mamas also want and demand an independent complaints process. Right now in Kansas City, the Office of Community Complaints is essentially led by police. And so it's police investigating themselves and then telling themselves that they haven't done anything wrong. So we've had this system in place for probably 40 years now in Kansas City. It is the same thing. There was a demand maybe, I want to say about 5 years ago, when the not Department of Labor, but Justice Department came in and had those big meetings in Kansas City. There was a promise at that time to actually revamp the system, but it never happened. And so this is one of the things that these mamas want done. Also, there's some things Ms. Sheila wants on the Kansas side. So we want to make sure that we are uplifting, because there are a lot of things happening on the Kansas side as well. And like somebody said, we're family, like we float back and forth. We've been doing this work on both sides, Kansas and Missouri. Truth and Justice, the first session, Torrance was on, the student that you all heard about today. with his attorney, talking about how to support him. The next one will be about the stories of Ryan and John. Their mamas will be on and talking about them and their lives. We are going to talk about the Guardian article. The Guardian did an in-depth interview with both of them, and there's a published article in the Guardian. And so we will be going through that article and kind of talking about it. Ms. Nayreen wants everybody to know that there is a basketball court being honored, be Ryan's name. For those who don't know, Ryan loved playing basketball. He loved barbecue and playing basketball, and even played on the police basketball league. And that's who killed him. And so this court is beautiful. I've seen the design, the artists that came together to work on this. They did such a great job. There's going to be a community day for this on October 23rd. So we'll put out where this is going to be and the time. But there are other efforts being made in Kansas City as it relates to murals, botanical gardens, and other things for those families. If you are a family, if somebody you know needs and wants a space that is safe, please reach out. There is this public thing on the first Thursdays that happens, but there's also a more private thing that happens. And so if you want to have access to the more private, to be in relationship and contact with people who are suffering the same kind of situation, please do. You know, this is something Ms. Nayreen told me she wanted, oh gosh, was it 7 years ago? When I was like, what do you want? She realized that, first of all, let me just say this. As a mother of a child who lost that child the way that she did, she couldn't speak about it for at least a year. That's typical. And so we want to make sure that even if the family member themselves can't, that there are people who are around who can and will for them, and that they have support. This is critical to both the mamas who felt alone during their time. And then when they found each other, it was, I can't imagine, because I've never gone through that particular pain. But they had that bond in that way. And so space needs to be created for that, because these things are hurtful. These things are harmful. And we want to make sure that the families have an opportunity, right? So I'm excited about Truth and Justice. After that will be a discussion about qualified immunity that will happen in November. And then in December, we're bringing in a mental health therapist and other experts to talk about grief during the holidays, recognizing that while other people are celebrating, these mamas, they're going to be thinking about their babies, right? They're going to be thinking about their first Christmases and, all the ones in between. So the time of their demise. And so we need to be mindful of that. And that piece isn't just for the mamas who have lost someone to police violence. It's also for people who are incarcerated. That's a different kind of grief too, that is experienced, especially during the holidays. I get reached out to by parents, mamas, daddies during the holidays who are like, my son is in jail. He's in Missouri prison justice, and I haven't been able to contact him for over, I'm worried. These are the kind of things that people are going through, our community, our siblings are going through, while others of us can enjoy and celebrate the holiday. So I want us to think about that and offer support for them as well. And then 2022 will be whatever these mamas say they want. And that's exactly what this is for them to guide these discussions, for them to say, justice, this is what I want, this is what we want to do. And I'm listening. I'm just right. I'm listening. And so if you can make those, please come, please do support the Truth and Justice series. Those are going to be really important. I feel like I feel like I'm missing something important that I want to bring beyond or are there any other things we want to uplift? Right now, I'll open it up for anybody to uplift anything that's happening in the community that they want to share. Okay. We'll continue our meetings with the mayor. We have another one scheduled, and we'll let everybody know about the trainings that are being planned with Mo and myself to train people to testify for the upcoming budget hearings. So if you're interested in any of that, please send your folks this way. We've recorded this, so we'll send it out there for people who couldn't join in today. Operation Liberation, thank you so much. OL, we did a bailout together. We got a young person out of jail. They're currently getting some services that they need. Operation Liberation had the Freedom House and Community Day. We see you, Operation Liberation. Thank you for your work in the community. For groups that I missed, I'm so sorry. I know I missed a ton of you all doing great work, but make sure that we know what you're doing. Submit it to us so that we can uplift it here. And I'm missing something, but I will make sure to post it under this. I think I'd like to, Dev, any final thoughts before we kind of close out?
Just an acknowledgement of September 11th, which is today. Yeah, that was just my final thought.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Happy birthday, cuz my cousin's birthday. She's deceased. One of the reasons we fight, she was taken by her abuser and left with five boys here in this world without their mama. So for all the people that we lost, for those, the pain of 9/11, my goodness, thing about this withdrawal from Afghanistan and all the things that are coming full circle in a sense. I'm grateful for you all, Kansas City community. We're so grateful for you all. Please keep on keeping on, and we will too. Thank you all so much for spending some of your Saturday with KC People's Agenda. Our mass movement meeting, we're gonna keep at the work, and we hope that you all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Try to get some rest so that you can fight next week. Talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.